Chelsea then, let's kick off with them. And in terms of the sheer movement they're doing in this transfer window, Kaveh, 5 senior signings so far, very, very close to announcing their 6th.
Yes, they've agreed a deal to sign Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen. And actually Sky Germany are reporting that the deal was agreed yesterday. Obviously, it hasn't been officially confirmed by Chelsea, but we think it's only a matter of time before it is concerned. The fee will be a club record for Chelsea. In total, I think Bayer Leverkusen will say we're getting 100 million euros. That's what they've always wanted. That was the asking price. But I think the way it's going to work is 80 plus 20 in bonuses and add-ons. So that would be £71 million initial fee plus 18 in add-ons, which would make it an £89 million deal, which would be a record for Chelsea. Interestingly, he is in the Germany squad, of course, at the moment. They're playing Spain tonight, but he's not in the starting 11, but he should feature during that game. And I think it's a deal that makes sense for Chelsea because he's one of the most sought-after young players in the world, and he's only 21. So if they're getting him for a down payment of £71 million, I still think he's a player who in the future will have a resale value. It's not like they're signing somebody who's at the end of their career and they're not going to get their money back. If he turns out to be as good as people are expecting him to be, then £71 million, it's not going to look cheap, but it's something that they could make a profit on if they ever decided to sell him.
Chelsea fans getting very excited tonight. Keep your tweets coming into us here on the Transfer Show. We'll answer as many as we can later on in the programme. Well, this afternoon, Jamie Redknapp told Sky Sports News' Transfer Talk that he's excited by Chelsea's transfer business and he's impressed with Havertz.
Chelsea are on the verge of building something very special, but again, it takes a little bit of time and you are going to have your ups and your downs. You've got Ziyech that can play on the side if you go and get Havertz. He's a super talent, can play in many positions in the front line, playing a number 10. He gives you goals, he's got tremendous pace, he can run with the ball, he can see a pass. I remember talking to Didi Hamann, who knows the German league inside out, a few months ago, and he's a massive fan of his. So I think could be a great signing, not just for now, but also for the future. With what Frank's trying to mould here with the young players, the likes of Mason Mount, he'll be a great addition for what is a very exciting young side. It might end up being the best signing for them. It might not be the most exciting, but it might end up being Thiago Silva because of his experience. Because they've got a lot of good young players, but sometimes you need just someone that can come in maybe at the end of their career and just calm everybody down. He's got an amazing know-how. He's played at the top all his career. He's played some of the biggest clubs, likes of AC Milan, Paris Saint-Germain. He's a winner, played for his country countless times, captained his country. So he'll be a brilliant addition for them. And it'll be interesting to see who Frank sees him as the best partner for him. Is it Zuma? Is it Christensen? We don't quite know that yet. And obviously in front of him, you've got one of the best defensive midfield players and N'Golo Conte. So for the first time ever, they're giving young players a chance, like some Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham. Tamori had a lot of games last year as well. A new goalkeeper will be something that Frank will be trying to address. But it's not that easy to find a goalkeeper. It's really difficult.
Jamie, they're saying that Frank, his cousin, of course, wants a goalkeeper. Kaveh, what's going on there in that position?
Well, Chelsea are in talks to sign Edouard Mendy from Rennes. No secret that Frank Lampard wants to sign another goalkeeper, and I think they will get another goalkeeper before the window closes. I think what is interesting, what you're seeing at Chelsea, is everybody singing from the same hymn sheet. In the past, we've seen problems when it comes to transfers between the manager and the people who are running the club. That is not the case at the moment. That's why we're seeing them do so many deals. Frank Lampard obviously is the manager. For 2 windows, he wasn't able to sign anybody. He's tried playing his young players. He's looked at his squad and he has told the people who run the club who he wants, the areas he needs strengthening in. And of course, Marina Granovskaya is the person who effectively runs the club on a day-to-day basis. She's in charge of all the transfer negotiations. Funnily enough, in Germany, she has a fearsome reputation. The German media call her the Iron Lady because they think she is such a tough negotiator and has been so tough to negotiate with over Kai Havertz. I think the really important person at Chelsea now is Petr Cech, who has come in as the technical advisor. He is sort of the bridge between Frank Lampard and the people who run the club, and he has become increasingly involved in transfer deals as well. And that is why I think we're seeing so much smooth transfer business going on at Chelsea over the past few months.
Can I just ask you something? If they do bring in another goalkeeper, can you see a situation where Kepa stays at Chelsea and fights for his place, perhaps?
I think if Kepa was to leave Chelsea, Chelsea would want to get back a sizable chunk of the money they spent on him, something like £71 million. So they're not going to let him leave on the cheap. I don't think there's too many clubs out there who can afford to buy a goalkeeper at the moment for £71 million. I suppose there's the option of him going out on loan. But interestingly, Petr Cech, I think, gave an interview this week. And in the interview, he said that as far as he was concerned, Kepa was going to stay at Chelsea and fight for his place. So it looks like he still has a future, but he does have a fight on his hands to prove to Frank Lampard that he is the Chelsea #1 long term.
Because the only thing is, if they do bring in a goalkeeper, then they're effectively admitting that Kepa isn't what they wanted him to be. The price surely is going to come down if a buying club is interested in him.
I just don't think there's anybody going to be out there during this window because of what's happening in the world who can get anywhere near Chelsea's asking price for him. They're not going to take a big loss on him. He's still, a very good goalkeeper. Things haven't worked out for him at Chelsea at the moment, but Petr Cech believes in him. So we just have to listen to what Petr Cech is saying when it comes to goalkeepers.
Dharmesh.
He knows more than me or you.
It's true.
Just to pick up on what Kaveh said there, particularly around the frustrations Chelsea have had in the transfer window with the transfer embargo, the registrations that they've had to operate under. Now, clearly, the perception is spend, and wow, have they done it in this window so far. But it's not all about that. We have to look at net spend. You've been looking at the figures.
Well, look, you could say if they were trying to consolidate a top 4 finish last season and they managed to do that just on the last day of the season, given what they're doing at the minute, you'd have to say that Chelsea are probably going for a title challenge next season with the players that they've brought in. Once Kai Havertz is confirmed, we're talking, £89 million, their outlay will be close to £220 million. One thing should be remembered, though, and that is, this is the first window, as you mentioned, since January 2019, when Chelsea have actually spent any money. Last summer, they had that transfer ban. They chose not to spend any money at all in the last window. What's more, they still have the money they got for Eden Hazard and Alvaro Morata burning a hole in that pocket. And suddenly, when you put all of that together, the net spend comes to about £40 million. And I don't think they're done, not by a long way, in this transfer window. Not only arrivals, but departures as well. Look, Willian and Pedro have gone. Yes, they went on free transfers, but their wages are now off the payroll. And there are a number of players you'd almost forget are still in the Chelsea squad. Victor Moses, who was on loan at Inter Milan. Danny Drinkwater, still a part of that squad. Michy Batshuayi as well. I'm sure Chelsea, if they want to offload these players, will want to get some money back for those players. And then you look at the net spend, then again, you could almost be in profit if they were to sell all these players, given the players and the quality of players that they bought. But make no mistake about it, the Lampard rebuild, the Lampard revolution, if you like, is well underway.